Okay, people. So now it is, what is it? July 16th, 2018. This should be the last time, for a while anyway, that I'll be using this camera. Because my son has brought up his camera. The only reason I'm not using it right now, or trying to use it anyway, is because it needs I guess a memory card. But once the memory card is in, then I'm going to try that and we'll see if this bang, 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 at least for the inside, will stop. I told him I wouldn't take it outside because when I'm outside it can get pretty dusty and dirty. Right, my hands, whatever, and you know, I grab the camera and dust all over the camera, or the sprinkler's on and there's water on the camera, and or the camera gets dropped, or whatever it is, right, people? I'm fermenting cucumbers right now. They're pretty tasty. Those are not canned pickled cucumbers, they're just fermented cucumbers in salt water. With some spices. So I did that yesterday. Can you see? Anyway. Lots of things I want to say. I don't know how to say it though. Wondering if I'm giving the enemy ammunition by even saying anything, but then that's the game plan. They want you to suffer in silence. Like an abused woman, don't say nothing. Don't tell anybody what's going on with you. Cover yourself up, hide it, right? Don't go out, right? Stay home, you know. Keep to yourself. Don't talk to nobody, right? If you talk, you're going to get it worse. All right, well, that's kind of like my situation here, people. I don't make up these stories. These stories are made up for me, right? I just relay how it happened, like I said in my previous video. And I can only interpret what happened to what I think in terms of why or how or, you know, the end goal. 99.9, 99.5. 99%, 95%, what is the percentage of people on this planet have to go through what I go through with my family? First it was Andre, then it was Uncle John, and now it's Shimei. Not to mention what happened to Sierra, right? Falling through those cracks, right? Those safety nets that are supposed to be in society that don't seem to be very effective. Right. So, I don't know, people. I'm just going to start gathering up everything for Uncle John like I was supposed to in February. I'm going to send it to the cops. I'm not sure if I'm going to send it to the Attorney General first and then ask him to send it to the cops, or if I'm going to send it to the Premier first, ask him to send it to the Attorney General, and then send it to the cops. I just know I'm not just sending it to the cops, because as things are going in the province of British Columbia, Canada, I just feel like there's just way too much white-collar criminal activity that falls under the Criminal Code of Canada that at the end of the day means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, I tried to order the new Criminal Code of Canada from a very popular bookstore for 2018, 2017, and they said it wasn't even in their freaking suppliers list. So now that was just one bookstore, but it was a major bookstore, so like a major chain, right? So I don't know why they don't have the Criminal Code of Canada 2017, 2018. I guess on that day, you know, it was just like to derail me or something, you know. So I have to phone around looking for this freaking book that at the end of the day means practically nothing. It's just a bunch of fucking words in a little red book, right? Because the stuff that went on at that hospital, just in terms of like the hypocrisy and the lies and, you know, the manipulation and the accusations and the apathy around what happened to Shimei, and the arrogance. It's not even ignorant. It's the arrogance of how they treated the information that I was giving them in terms of, well, what you're telling me is not Shimei. Shimei's not going to be sitting there doing something at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the fucking morning by herself as she's looking after her baby, you know, all thinking about is just getting freaking high. Right? Cocaine offset the fentanyl. We don't know if she did it at 4 in the morning. We don't know if she did it at 5 in the morning. We don't know if she did it at 6 in the morning. We don't know if she did it at 7 in the morning. We don't know if she did it at 8 in the morning. All we know is that at some point she died. And by the time she got to the hospital, we just didn't tell you about it. We ran with the dead body and capitalized off it for whatever freaking reason, people. When in fact they should have just told me she died. If they couldn't have told me here in the basement, okay, through the paramedics, they should have just told me as soon as she got to the hospital, instead of misleading us to think that somehow she was gonna wake up if they just kept her for a little longer on those machines. At that time, the doctor on the phone asked me if they wanted me to resuscitate her, in terms of, do I give them permission to resuscitate her, right? In the event that her heart should stop beating in that window of whatever when she first got there. And of course, I'm on the hook. All right, it becomes the consent person to yes or no. If I would have said no, and then it would have been easy for the doctors to blame me if something went wrong, so that my kids would get mad at me for not giving Shimei that fair opportunity to get the health care that she really needed. When in fact, that doctor should have just flat out fucking said, she's brain dead. It's pretty apparent. This is her vitals. When the paramedics got there, we can tell already within those vitals that she was dead, right? Yes, we started her heart only because there was an ulterior motive in there, people, right? So therefore they switched it on me. Well, what if she, you know, goes into cardiac arrest? Do you want to resuscitate her? I had to say yes. I had no choice, because if I would have said no and her heart would have stopped, my kids would have hated me for life. Because the doctor at that time, the whole system itself, was misleading the family from the very beginning that Shimei was salvageable. And she was, in an organ sense, but not in a life sense. Not as in a living sense. And that's the part that they failed to tell me about. Right? They used the heart as the decoy. Only because it was beating. And it was brought about artificially. So who's fooling who here? Right? Sure the hell isn't the family fooling all those freaking workers in that messed up environment dubbed a hospital. Tisha, when she went in for her, to have her baby, right? And this is so important, people. And I remind Tisha that this is so important, okay? I'm going to get to the gist of this video, right? This is the last video on this camera. After this, my son said he said he's going to get a, what do you call that little thing? Memory card. And then once the memory card is in that, I'm going to try that camera. Hopefully I can get it to upload on my old XP that I convert my videos on. Because this is a new camera, and the other computer I use to convert videos is a very old XP with very old programs. Anyway, Tisha, time to have the baby. And like, I don't know, hospitals are relying on C-sections a lot. I had 3 daughters, and 3 daughters had 3 C-sections, all 3. How is that possible, people? I had 5 kids and birthed them all vaginally, right? Marcane was extremely hard because he was 9 pounds, right? And they shut off the epidural because it was freezing up to here. So by the time I had to push him out, right, I had two people on one leg, 2 people on the other leg with my legs pulled right back as I was pushing out this 9-pound baby for over an hour as his heart was going up and down because when he came out, he had the umbilical cord around his neck, right? But I pushed him out. But I have 3 daughters and not one daughter got to have a natural birth. Isn't that interesting? So anyway, before she had her C-section, I expressed that I'm a little worried, right? Considering what's going on in that environment. First it was Uncle John, and then it was Shimei. And now Tisha's going into the system, and she doesn't have a choice because she's having a baby. She doesn't have the choice, okay? So I have to bite my lip, people. I have to dig deep inside myself just a little to find a little bit of fucking hope in there that she's going to come across somebody that's normal. Because some of these people just not normal. Right? It's not normal to lie like the way they lie, people. Right? Or professionalism or something, morality, something that makes them fucking good at their job. Right? And she's like, because Shimei, even when Shimei went in, I was concerned for Shimei. And by the time, Shimei had the baby and everything else and left the hospital, right? She said, oh no, Mom, the maternity ward, because, Shimei even mentioned it to the maternity nurses that, we had a hard time with Uncle John. And we're all a little nervous with Amari being born. Right, considering what happened to Uncle John, and the nurses in the maternity ward are saying, "Oh no, we're a different ward," and reassured Shimei. Yeah, okay. So anyway, Shimei gets home, right? And then Shimei gets home, right? Not even 7 months into the game, she's dead, and she ends up at the hospital, and that story unfolds. And here I am talking today about it still, right? And as if I don't have other things to do than to talk about Shimei. Shimei. Do you see that, people? Shimei. And I said to Tisha, Tisha, that's what Shimei said. Same thing. Oh, the maternity ward was really nice, Mom. Don't worry. Don't panic, just breathe. Everything's fine. Not everybody's mean. 7 months later, she's dead, and she's on display. I reminded Tisha of that. It only took 7 months, people, for Shimei to be murdered and then exploited. Whether they harvest her organs or not illegally, we'll never know the truth about it because the coroners or the autopsy people or whoever, because I asked for an autopsy, right? I'm still waiting. I don't know who did the autopsy, but you know what? That's the thing about the black market. It's a long chain of fucking white-collar criminals that capitalize off this crap. Right? They work together. Birds of a feather flock together. Right? So I wouldn't expect the truth. One way or another, I don't think I'm ever going to get the truth. Because they're not going to admit that they did anything wrong, because if it ever went to court, the first thing that the doctor, duty of care, is going to say, oh, well, it was Miss Chorney who said that if her heart stopped, we have to resuscitate her. Even though I was telling her that her daughter had liver damage, kidney damage, and all this other damage, and that her brain was swelling. But I just forgot to tell her that the reason that was happening was because they brought in a dead body. That's the part that the doctor fucking forgot to tell me about. Okay? I'm 7 o'clock in the morning listening to Shimei singing to the baby. Hear Tisha come in. I hear the girls talking for a freaking hour. 2 hours later, my daughter is dead. Alright? Well, the culprit is running around in the fucking basement telling lies to the cops. Then I go to the hospital. Well, no, the hospital called me because it was Tisha who went to the hospital with Shemaine. Had to take a taxi there. She couldn't go in the ambulance, so she went in a taxi. Well, I'm at home with the baby and Andre, right? Trying to gather up what I need to gather up to go to court for the next fucking day. Because the last time I checked, that bastard that was creeping around in that fucking basement was making threats on me. Okay? All the time making threats on me and my family. That I'd never get the fucking baby if he had it his way once that baby was born. Right? After the baby was born, just going around smashing fucking shit. Right? Telling me to go outside. Meet him outside. What the hell am I gonna go meet a 6'2" fucking man for that's on a rampage outside? Anyway, I got off track there. I went on a tangent. Sorry. So I said to Tisha, right? I don't trust him. I don't care if it's a maternity ward because it only took 7 months fucking for Shemaine to die. And everybody to be standing around there with their thumbs up their fucking ass saying, well, she did it to herself because it was the cocaine that killed her. Well, sorry, no, it was the fentanyl. The fentanyl was okay because it's a legal substance in the hospital, so we won't mention the fentanyl. We'll just mention the cocaine because it's illegal. Don't breathe! Your daughter was a criminal. She was doing drugs at 5:30 in the morning before your sister got home. She was doing drugs at 7 in the morning before your sister got home. 1 minute before your sister walked through the door, your sister was doing fucking drugs. Oh no, okay, sorry. No, she went and sat down on the couch at 8 o'clock after you got home and you talked for a fucking hour, right? And then she turned around and she was sniffing fucking cocaine when you were in the bedroom with the baby. Right? That's what your sister was doing. This is the fucking nurses. This is the fucking doctors. This is the fucking healthcare system for you people. And I'm arguing with the fucking social worker. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Why are you accusing my daughter of doing drugs? To avoid what I'm telling you. To avoid what I'm telling you. How those drugs got into her fucking system. You were more concerned about, well, she did it to herself. But at the same time, you didn't even have decency. They didn't even have the decency to tell me that she was fucking dead. And that they were doing some science experiment on her body. Now Tisha's having her baby. Sure, her experience was good. Well, no, it wasn't. There was a whole lot of fucking drama around it. But anyway, baby's healthy. Tisha's home now. You know, it was different fucking nursing staff. It was the maternity ward. The doctor was good. Yeah, well, you can see Shemaine said the same thing. And in the end, look how they treated her. Look what they did to her body 7 months later. For all their fucking rhetoric. Because that's pretty much what it's boiling down to. It's just a whole lot of rhetoric. And here's where it gets really scary, people. Okay? And I'm going to pretty much end it around this. Okay? Because I have to go down this path whether I like it or not. Because I'm the adult. Right? And I have to make the right decisions around for Amari. Right? Amari. My little grandson. That the stork brought me. That story about the stork bringing babies to you is true. You know, as a child you hear that. Never thought of anything really about it, people. But it's true. The stork brought me a baby. The only thing is, Amari's having some developmental issues. Now he's either a late bloomer, right? And he's heavy. So it's hard for him to get up and go. Also, he's cross-eyed. So that may hinder his confidence in terms of grabbing out and wanting to reach things or, you know, that type of thing. Because he can only really see so far. So it holds him back. Or it's something that, like a genetic disability. I wouldn't say muscular dystrophy or something like that, where it affects his muscles. All I know is I'm now going to be starting to take him to pediatricians just to monitor his development, right? And to assist him with his development if he needs it, right? We don't want to wait until he's 18 months to find out that physically there's something preventing him from getting up and walking like a normal 18-month-old would normally do, right? Or whatever it is. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, I have to brave that storm for him, right? I mean, we're already in a debate of, well, what kind of testing are you going to allow? In terms of, like, I'm like, well, he's not going to be poked and prodded, poked and prodded a lot, right? That ain't happening. If it happens, you're going to hear about it. Let me trust you. Let me tell you, you can trust me on that one. He doesn't deserve that, right? But, you know, with reasonable testing and, you know, an experienced doctor or doctors, depending on what's wrong with him, well, you know, you have to put your guard down, people. Just, you know, like I had to put my guard down with Tisha, you know, after she had her baby. But Shimei had her baby, and Shimei was giving good, reviews about the freaking maternity ward. And as far as I'm concerned, 7 months later, they were desecrating her body. So, you know, you take it for what it is, right? And, like, I'm really concerned about Amari having to go into the system with this whole situation around Shimei festering. Because it's festering, people. Right? And we are sitting ducks. We're sitting ducks to the culprit. And we're sitting ducks to the environment and to the establishment. To the political, to the professional end of what happened to Shimei. Because they don't want people like me talking about how morbid they really are. Right? Ultimately, that goes around money. It's all, so much of it has to do with money and control. Whether it's mind control, financial control, or just, well, really, it's just mind or financial, which affects everything else in your life, right? Like, I couldn't take this to court by myself, people. Fraser Health Authority, Andrew, you're too big. You're too big and you're too corrupt. You're too ingrained into the system, whether it's the court system, whether it's the healthcare system, whether it's the freaking social services end of things. It's just the justice system, which is outside of the court in terms of the cops and how they go about freaking dealing with criminal activity in a community outside of petty crime. You know? You can't even get the Criminal Code of Canada right now. You can't find it. Well, in one bookstore you can't find it. Right? Why? Why on that one day when I decide to phone, they don't have it in stock? Nowhere, in none of their stores. Seems kind of suspicious to me, don't you think? Conspiracy theory, right? They're redirecting my phone calls. Right? Hey, did I ask them to do with Shimei's body what they did? No, I did not. Right? But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it didn't freaking happen and never talk about it so they can lie to me and tell me that they're going to catch the culprit in the end. In the end. After he coughs up a confession. As if. Right? As if. So anyway. what was the point of all that? That was just a big ass rant.